Hello, hello. Welcome here, everybody, to our book study morning. I love these mornings and I always look forward to them. It's a little bit dark in here today. And today we're doing chapter 9 and 10. And I'm very excited for me and Shelley to be taking the reins on this one. So I'm going to hand it over to Shelley right away, because I think she's starting us off on chapter 9.
Awesome. So good morning. So I'm going to tell a quick story and then I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to start with this. If these two chapters didn't make you a little bit uncomfortable, you either didn't read them or there's some type of blockage in you and you're going to have to go back. So we will be asking you questions, and a bulk of the time we want to be having you respond to what you're feeling when you read these chapters, like what is coming up. Okay. So now my example is loosely connected, but I think it's really important. I was trying to think of a good example to kind of summarize chapter 9. It goes with chapter 9 and 10 because it's leadership. But I really want to give you this very quick example. So me and my boys went on a hike 4 years ago, Grassy Lakes Canyon in Canmore. It's really beautiful. There's an easy route and a hard route. We chose the hard route. Both the hard route and the easy route go to the top. The easy route, we came down the easy route. The easy route is basically one path with trees on either side. The hard route had scenery. It was near the edge of the mountain, and it had one thing that we needed because Matthew had too much salt for lunch. And he drank his water right away. And we're like, we got to get to the top, dude. And you like drank all your water. It had fresh spring water coming out of the mountain. So he stopped and he was filling his water bottle and he was excitedly telling everyone there's fresh spring water. And people were like hiking and ignoring him and going to the top. And it was actually a fairly easy walk, the most amazing scenery. But at the end, it got really, really hard. There was these steep cliffs and you could go right up the cliffs, or they had these ladders. Both routes got you to the top of the mountain. Okay. This is thought one. Thought two is it was so much fun. It was lovely. My mom actually came with us. She did really, really good. I wanted to take a bunch of women there. It never happened, but let's pretend I took a bunch of women there. And we're like, okay, great. This is what we're doing. We're going to hike this mountain. These are the two routes. I'm going to tell them, okay, you're going to need water, but there's actually this water spring. So you can take a water bottle. This is the weather. I give them all the information they need. At the top is a beautiful, beautiful lake. So bring your camera. We're going to want to get pictures and let's have a picnic lunch. So I'm their guide. Okay. I'm going to be giving them all this information. But at the end of the day, when they get there, I'm not going to say, Paige, you're wearing those type of shoes. Really? I think you should be wearing other shoes. And I'm not going to say, Stacey, you forgot a sweater. Like you guys, at the end of the day, you're going to do your thing. And now in the back of my mind, I want to be now a professional hiker and I want to start a company. So I'm taking these women and in my head, I'm practicing and I'm like, I'm looking for women who want to do what I do and be like a professional hiker, that kind of thing, right? Just 1 second. Sorry about that. So I want to be this hiker and I want to do this. I'm watching people. And I'm like, I wonder what they're going to do. Now, imagine there's one person who goes to the bathroom. You know, when you do these hikes, there's a little bathroom, you go to the bathroom, and then there's like a big banister that says, like, you are now entering the hike. And then there's like a bench, usually like right on the other side. Now, imagine someone gets out of the car, puts her shoes on, goes 3 steps, and is like, you know what? This is actually a really hard hike. I'm gonna take a rest right here. I'm not gonna wait. Am I gonna sit there and wait with her? I have 10 women on this hike. No, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to be like, okay, you can sit there. And there's going to be other women who are going to come and be like, okay, I love what you're doing, Shelley, but I actually really want to run this because it's been my dream to run up a mountain. You go ahead. The point is there's going to be multiple ways to get there. And as a guide, instead of leader, think of yourself as a guide. As a guide, you're giving them the tools and you're allowing them to get there. Now, for my big Olympic dream of having this hiking crew, let's say I need 5 women. So this is who I'm looking for. I'm looking for 5 women. Now, the way to do this, I could just call 110 women and say, do you want to be on this hiking thing with me? Or I could take people on this hike and I could see, and I could spend a lot of time nurturing and teaching people how to do this. It's like I said, the connection there's loose. But my point in all of this is two things. How are you guiding people, and how are you finding the people you want to do this with? There's more than one way through the forest. And I think we judge one way. If you're like, so the two options are you can talk to more people or you can work on getting better at how you find people. We judge how other people do it, and we think one way is more right and one way is more wrong. Okay, stop it. There's not a right way and a wrong way. There's a way that morally you feel better about. There's a way that might feel more comfortable for you, but there's different ways to get to the top of the mountain. When you get there, the view will be the same. Okay, so the key points here obviously is, you know, I don't have to go through the diamond and the cup example, like we all get that. But the key points is that, are you going to keep finding the people you need to do what you want? And how are you going to do it, right? The woman who says she really wants to do the hike, but takes 3 steps and sits, maybe she's not ready. Maybe she's actually going to pass you. Maybe you're going to get distracted by chasing squirrels on the way, and all of a sudden you're going to get to the top and she's going to be there. You don't know, right? But how are you going to find your 5 people? Now, I want to clarify, that doesn't mean we only have 5 people. It doesn't mean we're looking for 5 leaders. It means we're looking for 5 people doing what we're doing. We want like many customers. We want to honor the customer experience. We need good customers. We want to honor the people who want to go silver. We want to honor the people who gold and just get their products paid for. We want to honor people who don't care and they're on their journey. So we're not looking for 5 builders or 5 people who will have people. We're seriously just looking for those people who actually want to do this with us in that way. So we're going to open it up now, and I want you guys to just reflect, how did chapter 9 feel? It's a short chapter, but the concept of looking for just 5 people, and the concept of how are you going to do that? What does this bring up for you? And the action question is a good thing about, are there people that you're holding on to that you need to just let go? Like, are there people that are saying they're wanting this, but they're sitting on the bench? They're like, I really want the view, wait for me, but I'm still on the bench 2 steps in. So those are some of the key things, but we really just want to open it up and be like, how does this feel for you? What parts of this made you uncomfortable? And what are your thoughts about what you need to do differently to get to where you want to go?
That was absolutely brilliant. Like, seriously, I think that's one of the best analogies I've ever heard. I loved that so much. And I know you guys kind of did this format of like breaking down Paige and Shelly did this when we were gone, when Mom and I were gone. And I love this too. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And so Shelly told me yesterday that if nobody speaks up, she's going to call on people. So I'm just going to tell you, I'm warning you, okay? I'm on your side. I'm warning you. She's going to call on you if you don't speak up. So like, just say something, because she will call on you. And my thoughts in this chapter very quickly was, it is a numbers game. As much as we don't like to say that, it is a numbers game. And the more people we talk to, the more people we're going to have say yes to us. I will never forget Jessica Heffley standing on stage in Vegas at convention, wearing her $3 green high heels and saying, the only difference between me up here and the people in the stands is that I've had more people say no to me. It's a numbers game. And so when you're looking for those 5 people, the more people you talk to, the closer you will get to those 5 people. So I want to hear all of everything, what everybody has to say. So speak up before Shelly calls on you.
I'll go first. Then Shelly can't pick on me. No, I'm kidding. I'm happy to be picked on. I had like my brain had a lot of drama in this chapter, especially when it came to like, who are your 5 and who, right? And then I seriously sat down and did like, it's like that my whole life flashed before my eyes, and I sat there and I was like, do I know quality people? Like do I know people who are like a higher caliber of, just a minute, guys, like a higher caliber of person? And then it was like, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody. And then there was so much drama, and I had to be like, Paige, like, knock it off. You can still talk to people. You still know how to talk to people. And like you said, or like in the comments, right? Everybody needs Plexus. not everyone's going to want this. And so the way I bring people in now is offering them that piece of pie and saying like, okay, you may or may not want this, and that's cool. But if you don't, all right, whatever. Like I'm not going to pressure you. I'm not going to trick you. I'm not going to whatever. But if you do, then I'm happy to get to know you a little bit better. I'm happy to lead you, guide you, kind of walk with you type thing. But yeah, at the beginning, my brain had like a heap of drama where it was like, I don't know anybody. I don't know any quality people. I don't know who I want to spend my time on the beach with. I don't, anyway, I'm still working through it. But the way that I invite people in and talk to them right from the get-go, right from the beginning is totally different.
And this is something that me and Paige talked about when we were prepping one of the things. Sometimes in the beginning, we're so afraid that we talk to people that we think will say yes. And I'm going to be very careful how I say this because we do not want to prejudge anyone. People always surprise us. But they're not, there's people who are ready for a journey and they're ready to take their health and business seriously. And there's people who have excuses and noise and drama in their head and they don't. And sometimes we have insecurities. And so I'm just going to call it what it is. And I pray that it lands the way that I mean it and not in some bad way. But we pick people who we're like, well, we think they'll say yes because we feel comfortable around them. We're not picking higher quality people that are higher quality than us. Like, can you imagine if I was like building my Olympic team and I'm like, ooh, I know this person is so fast, but I don't want to pick them because I'm the guide and I actually know that they can get there first and I don't want to be second. Can you imagine? Why would I do that? Like, why would I do that? Of course, I want people to be better than me, but because of our own insecurities, we pick people that maybe are not far along in their journey. And then we expect them to do things that they're literally not capable of doing. And then we're surprised. Well, why aren't they going anywhere? Why aren't they doing this? So we have to be able to play the numbers game and level up our quality of who are we talking to and how we show up online, how we show up in the space, how we talk to people, our confidence. That's going to attract a certain level of people, right? It just is. And so hear what I mean. But I think a lot of us, I think we've all done that in the beginning, all of us. All right, who else? Thank you so much, Paige. Who else is deep in thought? Barb.
I think sometimes we still do that. So that doesn't, just because some of us have been here for 5+ years or whatever, we still often do that because it's scary. It's scary to level up, number one, for ourselves. And it's also scary to sign someone up that we think is going to surpass us. But what we don't realize is if we do sign people up that would surpass us, it levels ourselves up. It lifts the lid, exactly like Sheila said. Like it lifts your lid because you have to expand your thinking. You have to maybe brush up on some new skills and stuff like that to keep up with them. And yet I think we don't realize is when we have to keep up to someone, we learn ourselves and we will most often we will level up and also rank up. And it's, I think one of the biggest things that we don't realize is it's easier. So we do push up that hill, right? Where we have that graphic. I think pushing the hill up is easier then.
Yeah, that's so good, Barb. That's so true. Anyone else have some thoughts on what it's going to take to find your 5 people? And I want to say this changes over time. When I started, I had my list of 5 people and it changes over time. You meet new people, right? The people that are currently now, some of the people on my team, I didn't even know them. 2 of them I didn't even know existed when I started. You will meet new people. And as you change, who you look for and how you look changes, right? But who else has other thoughts they'd like to share on?
For me, I actually, when I read that about you only need 5 people, that actually took off a ton of weight off of my shoulders, because I'm like thinking, how am I gonna get so many gazillion people to be on my team? And it just felt so overwhelming. And then when he said on there, you only need 5 leaders. And I'm like, Pokey Dinah, I only need 5 leaders. That's awesome. I can do that, right? Like it just gave me, it boosted my confidence right away. And yet when you like with in relation to what Barb said about having someone surpass you, I had someone on my team that surpassed me. And there's a very good chance that I'll already have another person that will surpass me. And you know what? I'm so excited for them. Like when Crystal surpassed me, I was like, way to go. I had no feelings of inadequacy about the fact that she surpassed me. And with Colleen, if she surpasses me, I'm just like, go girl, you do it. And it's just something that will continue to inspire me to keep moving forward in that way. But yeah, that just took a big weight off my shoulders, but thinking that I only need 5 people. But yes, I still have to find them.
Yeah. That's really good, Melinda. Stacy, do you want to expand on what your comment was? Because I think that can be one that we sort of get tripped up on.
Yeah, like usually when people are telling you like who to look for and what to look in those people, they say somewhat kind of like yourself, but at the same time, like I don't really know what that looks like because a lot of the people that I'm messaging or even like following, they're considered like too young, you know, and they're all in university or they're all like doing their own things. So I feel like I need more guidance on that kind of situation to look for, I guess.
Well, I think a couple things, like one, no one is ever like too young or in the wrong situation. And Gen Z is like, I'm getting confused with generations. Like those are a lot of the people because they know how to do online. They're good at the social selling thing. They don't find it awkward. It's my generation and up that has all the drama with people messaging you about stuff. But like different generations, they have no problem. It's not weird to just, especially on Instagram, like it's not weird. So I think we have to take because if we're coming at something with a prejudgment of, well, everyone's too busy or they have this or they have this, like, and we're prejudging it, that's how we're going to come across. So we have to believe in it and see the value for who we're talking to. Like that's the first thing. And the other thing is you look for evidence. Like if it walks and talks like a duck, it probably is a duck. And if I do my hike thing, it could be the most enthusiastic person. It's like, I'm going to do this hike. This is awesome. And I'm like, oh, did you bring shoes? Oh, I forgot them, but that's okay. I'm so excited for this hike. Do you have water? No, but who cares? We're just going to go. And 3 steps in, they're going to collapse and be like, my feet hurt and I'm thirsty. I'm done. But they were the most excited. So you're looking for evidence, right? Sometimes it's the people who spend all the time gathering information and they're working through mindset and they're getting ready and you think they're the slowest one on the journey because they're taking forever to get out of the car for the hike because they have their water and they're packing everything organized and they have got their camera around their thing with their little camera protector. And you just leave them at the car because you're like, my goodness, they're never going to start. And all of a sudden you're taking a break and they're like, see ya. And they run right past. So you're looking for the evidence, not just the excitement. Everyone has excitement. Everyone can have excitement and everyone can say, I want to do this. What evidence? And so not just in Plexus, in their other life. And it goes through that in one of the earlier chapters. Are they focused? Are they the kinds of people, I forget all the lists, but go back to it. There is a chapter that says this is what typical leaders do. People will rise up in most areas of their life. So there's evidences in other parts of their life that they're go-getters and they're not afraid of challenges and they accept criticism and they accept all of these things, right? And so when you know someone in your life that you see all of those things in them, you're like, they could do this too. It's your job to help sell the vision of why would they want to, right?
And then with all of that being said, there are people like me who come in and have none of those things being evident in their life and they learn how to do it. And they grow into that. Because I was When I started Plexus, I was 21. I was extremely negative. I was I was judgmental. I was not the best person to be around, like to be totally honest. And not calling myself a saint now or anything, because I'm not, but I can admit how far I've come and I can be proud of my growth. When people come in, they may not be ready, but this opportunity is a refining process. It may take them longer. It took me longer. That's okay. So in the beginning, it's not, we just, like Paige said, we just bring the people in. They may not be here for the opportunity right away. Maybe they're not here for the opportunity at all. But we get to, as time goes by, build that relationship, get to know them, connect with them, and they may even just become that person down the line. They may end up there. Like with all the personal growth that you get in Plexus, you never know. Oh, Paige says page 99 has all of the qualities listed.
Okay, there you go. Thank you for that page.
So if you want to go see the qualities, go to that page of the people that you're looking for.
But like, again, it goes back to not prejudging. Because sometimes people get hungry for something out of desperation, or they just catch a vision somewhere and they just go, and you're like, I didn't really see that one coming, right? So we don't ever want to prejudge that. So I was just going to say there's a lot of meat in chapter 10. And so we want to say, so this is your last call to share on chapter 9. And then Sheila's going to give us a little story for chapter 10. And then we will have more thoughts from you guys. And I'll just gently stall for 20 seconds while she gets. So does anyone have a last minute, anything to share on this chapter? All right, if you do, write it down because you'll have a chance at the end, and Sheila's going to take us through chapter 10.
I appreciate the stall. Sadie decided she needed to, or my sister is in Grand Prairie now and they were FaceTiming. A 3-year-old FaceTiming is not the most graceful thing at all. So chapter 10 is mentorship. And I like, as we're talking about this, I want to know what's going through your head when you think mentorship. I want to know the good, the bad, the ugly. I want to know all of it. Like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think mentorship? Like, pop that in the chat. I'm going to just think about myself a little bit for when I started. And let's even use another word that's more popular in today's day and age, coaching. Everybody and their dog is a coach on Instagram. Everybody is trying to teach somebody something. And in reality, coaching, mentorship is simply you know 1% more than the person that you're guiding. That's all it really is. But when I think back to when I started, going back to what we even talked about for chapter 9, I had so much imposter syndrome and I had so much, I didn't believe that I could guide somebody. I did not have the confidence. I did not have the belief that that was possible for me. I started young. I was naive. And so all of these things, I was like, there's no way that, let's say I go and sponsor somebody like Shelly, I was so intimidated. I did not want to raise my lid because if I did, I would never be able to teach her something. That's what went through my head. That's what went through my head. And so for the young moms on here right now, specifically for you, age does not equal maturity. It doesn't equal experience. It does not matter what age you are. It does not matter what stage of life you are. You have something you can learn from everybody and something you can teach to everybody. And when you walk into life with this mindset, this understanding of it doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing, I have something that I can learn from the people around me and I have something I can teach them. You will forever be learning and you will forever be growing and you will forever be developing. But when you have that mindset of there's something I can learn from everybody, it also takes a load off of your shoulders in knowing that it's not your responsibility to teach everything to everybody. You as a mentor, when you are here to guide people, you are simply here to relay the information that you have learned, and it's up to them if they are going to be taking it and running with it. If they're going to be taking it with it and moving forward with it. So he says, like, it's so important to watch, like Shelley said, watch what people do. If they walk, you walk. If they run, you run. Move with them. Watch their feet, not just their mouth, but their feet. I've had a lot of people in my business who have come in here and have said, hey, I want this so badly. I really, really want this. But they don't do anything. I've given them all the resources. I give them all the training. I tell them, hey, okay, let's do this together. You go message 3 people. Here's what you can say, but they don't do it. You can only do so and so much for people. You don't get to do everything for everybody. They have to decide to do it for themselves. And so a really big part about this is taking away the, it's not up to you. You cannot take accountability for their choices. They have to. They have to do it, and they have to be willing to do it. And so throughout my journey throughout my journey in Plexus, I have learned that it doesn't matter what stage of life I am or where I'm at, I can mentor other people. I do have value to give. A large part of mentorship is your own confidence in who you are and knowing that, hey, I have value to give no matter where I am in life. I have value to give. And that person beside me may be older than me. They may be younger than me. They may have had different life experiences. None of us are the same. But when you focus ultimately on the relationship, getting to know them, connecting with them, being their friend, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters because they're going to know that, hey, Sheila's here beside me. She really cares about my success. She may not have all the answers, which is a good thing, by the way. But at the end of the day, I know she's going to help me find the answers. And I know she's going to help me do whatever it takes so that I can succeed. That is more important than you showing up as the expert. You don't want to be the expert in everything because that's not duplicatable. People are going to look at you and going to be like, well, she knows everything. She does everything perfectly. I could never be that. You don't want that because it's also perfection is completely unattainable. Did you know perfection is a lie? I've been reading Brené Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection, and it's really good. But perfection is simply this thought that if you do everything perfectly, if you do everything to a certain standard, you will be able to escape shame. That's simply what perfection is, and it's not possible. It's not possible. It's a lie. So the sooner that we embrace the chaos, like mom always told me, embrace the chaos, be okay with the chaos, and let go of perfection because imperfection, you're not going to move forward. You're simply going to be spinning your wheels in the mud. As soon as you're able to embrace the chaos and move forward, you will grow. And people will see, okay, she's willing to do this. She may have messed up that one time. That definitely didn't turn out the way she had hoped, but she kept going. That is encouraging. That is duplicatable. So you get to mentor people not just by what you say, but by what you do, by how you love on them, so their relationship with them. Mentorship isn't just sitting down one-on-one with a Zoom and talking with somebody. It's how you live your life. It's how you love on people. It's the relationships that you build. It's the community that you build. That is mentorship. It's as simple as checking. I love, and Amber has said this a few times. I love what she has said. She said in the mornings, she will wake up, and the first thing that she does that morning is she'll send out voice messages to people, telling them what she sees in them. Shouting out their strengths. Because very often when we look at ourselves, our strengths are not strengths. They're just things that we're so good at them that we think everybody can do them. But that's not the case. Other people are looking at you and thinking, oh my goodness, I wish I could do that. Why can't I do that? Paige and her DIY, I wish I could do that. If I pick up a drill, my husband has a heart attack. Like, no, what are you doing with that? Stacy and her reels, they are so good. They are so good. Seriously. Kelly, what you shared on team call last week, oh my goodness, I could have like raised the roof. It was so good. Barb, if I could love like you do, if I could be as hospitable and like that's something I'm working on. I'm not good at that at all. Like we don't see our own strengths at all. So Amber said she was like, call out people's strengths. Show them how much you believe in them. Show them, hey, what you have, that's special. That's something that not everybody has. And you can change the world with that. And so that's something I've started doing is I will just message a bunch of people and tell them. And it doesn't have to be just your team. Everybody, we used to always have this quote saying, everybody's walking around with a sign around their neck saying, I need encouragement. If there's one thing that the world needs, it's encouragement. And so even for my potentials, even for my customers, I'll go and tell them what I see in them that's amazing. And like encourage them because everybody needs that. That is being a mentor. That is being a coach. You're calling out the best in people. And sometimes the hard thing about it is you also have to call out the hard things. You have to be willing to have conversations with people that say, hey, are you willing to have me point out a few things that I'm noticing right now? And if they are coachable, they will be willing. And if you have built that relationship, they will know that you're coming to them from a place of actually truly caring about them, that you really do care. Mentorship is like so much more than just like we think, oh, it's just numbers. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to help her map out her numbers. No, it's so much more than that. It's about the relationship, it's about the people. I saw a quote yesterday and I wish I had saved it. It was really cute. It was on a cute graphic, and I always like cute graphics. Something about if you are, oh, I really wish I had saved it. Something about if you're pushing for success in your business and you're just focusing on the numbers, stop. Focus on the people and the success will come. Because it's spot on. When we focus on the people, the success will come. How many people we talk to, how many people we love on, even if it feels like, why am I even doing this? The little things matter. People do not forget them. The little things matter. And that is all a part of mentorship. And so if I go back to the chat, I want to see what being a guide, walking the talk. I love that one, Jewel. That's really good. Guidance and friendship, modeling the way, being a guide, coaching, counseling, providing an ear, all of those things are spot on. So I would love to hear from you. Maybe you've had like I had preconceived notions about what coaching or mentorship was, what I thought it was and what it truly actually was. I'd love to hear from you guys. Did you have something like that? Did you have from when you started to where you are now, how has your idea of coaching changed or mentorship? Or maybe just an experience that you have experienced in your journey so far of when it comes to mentorship, relationships, all of that.
I'll go. So I have a lot of leadership experience, and this part is not where my issues are. My issues are getting going. The perfectionist piece is a huge challenge for me. It's a real limit, and limitation, and also being a little bit more on the introverted side and struggling a little bit in getting those conversations going or knowing how to do it, having a preconceived notion that I'm just going to annoy people or something like that, I think. So it's sort of backwards. Like I feel like if I could get going, this part of it would be not that challenging because I've done it. I've worked as a director of a nonprofit. I have a lot of the leadership side of things. And I'm really comfortable supporting others in that way. It's just for me, it's kind of just getting going and communicating, connecting with people, feeling like concerned that it won't come across genuine, I guess, or some of those things, that it will kind of be clunky and, and maybe that's like the only way you learn is to have a few of those conversations and have it be awkward and then reevaluate. I'm not sure, but Yeah, so I feel like my issue is sort of backwards and like, it's just kind of a different side of things that's a little bit tricky.
I 100% relate to that a lot because that's me. I was the extreme perfectionist, um, and where I felt like I needed to say everything perfectly before I could say anything. And I don't know if you have ever read, I love Brene Brown. She talks a lot about shame and blame and all of that. Her book, Daring Greatly,
Okay.
helped me so much, so
Okay.
much in this topic because, like I said earlier, perfection is simply trying to avoid being shamed.
Right.
So walking into these conversations, if I say the wrong thing, what will they think of me? Will they think less of me? Will they look at me like maybe I don't know anything? And to be honest, that's literally the exact opposite of what happens. Our egos are trying to protect us, especially for us extreme perfectionists. We may have, I know for myself, I went through situations as a child where I was shamed for reacting a certain way, for laughing too loud, or for because I can laugh pretty loudly, and I always held back. I always held back from laughing, and it ends up it's one of the things my husband loves the most about me. And so I held back because I had been shamed for that. And so my ego went, "Oh, that is never going to happen again. From now on, we are going to avoid all things related to that subject." And you completely block it out. That's what your ego does. And so your ego right now is like, oh my goodness, I have had a conversation in the past where I said the wrong thing. Now your ego is trying to protect you by saying, I need to have everything perfect before I can say anything. And it's such a lie. It's such a lie. Because when you do speak and you mess up, it makes you so much more relatable. Out. Nope. I want you. Great. I'll deal with it later. I don't care who puked. Boop, 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 boop. It is not, that's later's problem, not now's problem. But what I found is when I have these conversations and I just show up being okay with however I say it, and if I do say something wrong or I do feel like I've messed up, call out the elephant in the room. Call it out because that takes away, like it breaks down all the barriers of what anybody could think. So I have maybe said somebody's name wrong, or even this is a bad one, where you're messaging a lot of people and I've said the wrong name. I've done that. It's not a good one. Barb, I know, I see heads nodding. When we're working through our IPA, it could happen, and I never want to do that. But when you have interruptions and things and you say the wrong thing, I'll call it out. Oh my goodness, I made that mistake. I'm so sorry. And I'll just straight up call it out. If we try to say everything perfectly, like I said earlier, is so not duplicatable. People can't relate to us. They're like, she does it all so perfectly. I can't do that. Most people aren't as extreme perfect. Everybody has a level of perfection, but most people aren't that perfectionist. Some of us are. And so they're not even looking at your mistakes.
Can I butt in a little bit? I don't know exactly what you guys are, but this is like one of my favorite conversations.
Awesome.
I just got off of a 3.5 hour coaching call with Keith Callahan, and I feel a little bit fried, but good gosh, it's so good to jump in with you guys right away and just keep on this conversation. One piece that I want to add to what Sheila said is we feel humiliation when that happens. When you don't feel perfect, when you feel like, oh, I messed up. And humanity doesn't want that feeling. Like you in general, you don't want to ever feel humiliated. It's a feeling that you're automatically going to reject. And I'm just seeing like Lisa had a teacher, right? Walk her through that. We're always second guessing. We're always reiterating in our brains of what we have said and then demonizing that a little bit more, making it worse than what it really was, right? We're the queens of making it worse than what it actually is. People out there are actually a lot more forgiving and accepting than what we are of ourselves. And so if the one big piece that stands out to me here is if you are willing to show up fully as you, who Jewel is today, who Jewel brings all these qualities that she already has, and yet she wants more. And in the process of growing to be more, it'll be clunky, it'll be making mistakes, and it'll be imperfect. But that's the relatable part. That's the part that people attach themselves to and say, oh, I relate to what she's doing. I can do that. Like that's how I would do it too, right? The moment we step into perfection and say, oh, I'm just gonna I don't want to mess up, so I'm just not gonna say anything, that's when we close the door on opportunity. And I think when we close the door on opportunity, it's strictly self-driven. It's not driven in a way of, I want to love and serve people. So when you want to love and serve people, you see them for who they are, and you stop thinking about your own shortcomings. Makes it so much easier. And yet it's such a process, right? Just wanted to add that piece a little bit there. I love this conversation.
And we get to do that for ourselves too.
Mhm.
Our reel yesterday that said, the Bible tells us to love people where they're at and love them for who they are and just love them like Jesus would. That includes you. Includes you. You have to do that for yourself too. To love yourself throughout the growth because you are also learning and growing.
It's so challenging. I feel like I've been in sort of personal development world for, almost 15 years, and um and to feel like the hiccups of, like, the things that you're talking about in terms of, Sheila, in terms of, like, as a child, right? For me, it was like, oh, you're too strong, or you're too loud, or you're too sensitive, or, like, there was a lot of those, right? And even to this day, like, I find it so challenging to, like, to see the gifts in some of those things that were kind of mirrored back to me so harshly, and also maybe because of my sensitivity, it became maybe more harsh than it needed to be. And so yeah, just trying to work through that and not be looking for mirrors of that in every shape, or form is a huge one in a way. So sorry, I'm just being a little vulnerable today because this stuff's coming up, but thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. This is a safe space. This is where we get to do this and where we get to share these things. And Shelly talked about this yesterday when we were messaging each other. She's like, when we say things out loud, we often hear them in a different light. I will very often do verbal processing in voice messages to people. It's like, and I know Paige has done this too. It's like you message and you're like talking it through and you fix your own problem by the end, because when you say it out loud, it sounds different. And you're like, oh, wait, it gives you that opportunity to look at a problem from a different perspective, to maybe see different solutions. And so that's why we want to open this space, is for you to have time to do that verbal processing and to have judgment-free sounding boards that can be here and be like, yeah, I hear you, I understand you. How can I help you work through this, right? That's what this space is. It is a safe space. You don't have to be afraid to share things here.
When you say, as a child, we're always going to revert back to those pieces that shaped and molded us the most. And it's so interesting to see those pieces of childhood come up when you're pushing through that next level of leadership, because you as a leader are already going to show up with those pieces of who you think you are. And so if you've allowed those voices from your childhood, like, I relate a lot to this. You're too loud. Don't speak so loud. Stop talking. Why are you still talking? You're just too much. Can you not be like the others? All those voices are going to rise up, and they're going to sit on your shoulders, and they're going to be like feeding into your brain, right? And so those pieces, if you keep picking them up, they're always going to be there. Mm-hmm. This is something I've had to learn so much in my leadership journey in Plexus. And it's only been 10 years. It's only been 10 years that I've been aware of these things. And then once you are aware, then you can see them in other people as well. So instead of feeding, do you know the story of the two wolves, where, the grandpa tells the story of the bad wolf and the good wolf, and the grandson says, but what is the question? I forget. And the grandpa basically says, it ends up being the one that you feed is going to grow. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's with yourself too. Like, if we keep affirming of what someone else spoke into us years and years ago, it'll always keep growing. It'll always keep pushing you to the front, and it'll always keep that imposter syndrome in front of your eyes. Well, I'm not that because they said so and so. And oh, I don't feel right speaking now because I'll be too much again, or I'll be too loud again. I'm talking too much. I'm this, I'm that. You keep affirming those I am statements. No one else's. Because it comes from within you. And when you let them go and you lay them down and you accept them and you say, okay, that's who I was, but I'm no longer that. And I have grown and moved on, right? And then you can lay them down. And sometimes, sometimes we pick them up hour by hour, and then we have to lay them down all the time again. You know, it gets easier as you let go of some of those old beliefs and you are growing new ones about yourself. So really challenge you to just be aware of when you say those things. You can say, no, I accept that about myself, but that's not who I am anymore. Gives you a piece of what you can step into, and it opens up your capacity.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing. Kelly, I'd love to have you share a little bit about that, about your comment.
Well, wow. Okay. Can you hear me still? Oh my goodness.
If your mom mutes, then you guys should be fine.
There we go. I was like, how do I stop that? Yeah, so like I've been in situations where like at camp, I was a cabin leader and I was a senior cabin leader. So I mentored the other cabin leaders. And then at college, I was put into like a leadership position in the dorm. And that meant that I would then mentor other girls and stuff. So I found like mentoring came very easily, as there was always people there in those places to be mentored. And now it's like, I know that that's what I want to do. I want to help lead people and I want to take people with me. And it's hard figuring out like, how do I do that and keep getting better at that when there's not people coming with me right now. And so just trying to figure out like, how do I keep doing that? And I realized like, so me being part of the team call last week, the week before, whatever week that was, I can't remember now. It was because I realized, you know what, even though I don't have a team under me right now, I have a team beside me, and I can still practice those qualities with those people while I wait for the people to come beneath me, so that when they do come under my team and I can bring them up with me, then I'm already learning and have grown in those skills to be able to do that well for those people.
That is such good awareness, like really good awareness. It's like, I love that. The one thing I want to ask is, you do have a VIP signed under you, right? Yes, you do. That's what I figured. So even if you don't have anybody working, you still have a team. And they in itself, they are still going to need your mentorship too, in many different ways. Because very often when we're working with people, they come up against roadblocks that keep them from pursuing their health. Those are also mental roadblocks that we can help them work through. Our teams as a whole, even if they're not working this business, need our mentorship in different ways. Your social media presence, the people that you share with on social media, they need your mentorship. You get to practice it on them too. I have found so often when you show up regularly on social media, people will come to you for encouragement, for advice, and you get to use it there too. And I love that you opened your mind to being like, I get to do this with my sidelines too. And another thing I thought of was, in your previous positions, they were all more so placed positions, right? Where they placed you in that position, and now you like like when we're thinking of the levels of leadership, a management role. This is more so of an
my beds and my dogs are covered up.
I know, it's okay. Mommy will take care of it after. It happened last night. It's all fine. Now you get to be in a position where you get to level up in your levels of leadership. So the John Maxwell 5 levels of leadership, not because you have been placed into it, but because you get to gain people's trust and inspire people and then work your way up. And so it's a totally different world where you can take those skills that you learned and put them in where you are now. Your boundaries are so much bigger than they were before. Technically, you have way more people than you can inspire than you had before. Like if you really think about it, before you just had, they gave you this little group. Now you have all of us, which by the way, we are very open to anything you have to give. You have your whole entire social media and you have your team. You get to do it with all of them. So really, when we make our brains go like, oh, I have this little bubble. Really, you have all of this. And they're all waiting for what you have to give. Oh, I love that, Rachel, so much. And I know that you have a lot of experience in this department too, coming from ministry. I don't know if you're able to unmute or anything, but if you can, I'd love to have you elaborate a bit more on that. She shared, my view of mentorship is that I start mentoring before someone ever signs up, so we have a relationship and they start to see me as a leader. It's positioning yourself. It's where you position yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I can't turn my video on this second, but I feel that so many people out there, they want someone to speak into their lives, like you were saying, to say their qualities, to when they share, ask them questions, speak into it. It's almost like you can coach someone before they ever, maybe it's just something, it's like homeschooling and they're struggling. So like you have a conversation, which is almost like a mentorship conversation. And through that, you're building trust, leadership, all the stuff that we love. Many people, like you said, I've done coaching and mentorship outside of this. And it took me a while to connect this, but then I realized you can do it before you sign people up. And it's like, and in this book, he says that too. So you're positioning yourself as that coach leader. They sign up and they're still looking to you. They're that. So that really shifted for me when I was thinking the exact same things as Kelly. Well, I don't have a team, so why am I focusing on mentorship? And then I'm like, actually, I'm going to lead the people in my community on social media. And that really was a big shift for me.
And that's brilliant. I love that so much. So good. So good. All of this has been so good. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. Was there anybody else that has like things rolling in around in their brain that they'd like to share?
I think one of the things that I learned this last week is to grow thick skin. Growing thick skin in this business, especially when you are the leader and you see yourself as a leader, when things come up in your team and you get to show them that what One Plexus is, and that regardless if you have people on your team that are level 1, 2, 3, 4, regardless of what they are, you always get to be a friend to them. You always get to be someone that speaks life into them, over them. And very often, and a lot of you probably have experienced this, is you get negative feedback from the actual sponsor, as if, well, she is mine, so you don't get to talk to her, you don't get to speak to her or into her as a team and stuff like that. And this is where One Plexus gets to be something that you show them, and also just let them know that you are a One Plexus team, and that to expose people to different leaders is a good thing as well. So that's something that I ran into this last week. It took me I stepped back and I thought, whoa, never thinking that, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But I was like, no, it was not the fact that I was trying to recruit her or anything. It was something I was checking in on her to see how she was doing, because when she was going to come along with me and my level 2. She was going through a really, really hard time. And so I basically just connected with her and asked, how did things go and how did, whatever. But yeah, it's something, thick skin is a good thing in this game.
Oh man.
Thank you for sharing that, Barb. And I just really quickly want to say that that can inhibit us from doing stuff. And then what you're doing is you're not allowing your gifts to shine through other people. And a tiny quick example, I had just started on Facebook and I was posting, and I was kind of new to this whole journey because I started Facebook because of Plexus. And this gal was really negative, and she had stopped commenting and liking, but she was following everything I did. And so she sent me a message, a really negative message about one of my posts. And I don't remember if I specifically went to Marge or if there was something in team call or something, but someone had said, like, just keep going. I was like, okay. So the next message I did, and I don't think I've ever even told Jewel this, but the next message I did, it was scared, but it was a really specific health journey. And that's when Jewel reached out and said, I think I want to do this health journey. Now, I had known Jewel from, we worked together years ago. And as far as respect in the workplace, I had a lot more respect for Jewel at the time than this other gal who's in the peanut gallery. Peanut gallery lady is still in the peanut gallery. Her health isn't better and she's not on this journey. And Jewel has had her health transformed, continues to lead in and dive in. So if I had taken that and been like, okay, I'm just going to stop posting, there's a ripple effect for that, not to mention the amount of people that Jewel will eventually touch through this. And so those moments are really hard, you guys, and each one of us have had them. And now when I have those things where people are negative, honestly, I run to like Paige or Marge, or I have other people and I'm just like, this happened, it sucks, but my value is not attached in what they think of me. My value is attached in what I feel I can do. And if someone responds or not, but my heart's pure, that's what I'm attaching my value to, my intentions, not other people's things. And that works both ways. So when someone likes something of me, I'm not like, look at me. Like, it works both ways, you guys. So you have to be really careful of that, but don't let those moments hit you, because they will hit you. And there are people who quit and never come back because of hard things and because they refuse to dive into personal growth. And the amount of people, their impact, the amount of people that doesn't reach, that's the sad thing, right? So thank you for sharing that, Barb. I know those things knock us down, and I'm sorry it was like a hard week for you. But you have so much to give. So don't let that dim the light.
It's the
I'm gonna
man
add-
in the arena. That's what it is.
Yes.
And I like how
Yeah.
you said that, Barb. They often speak from their own perceived fears. So what they're saying says more about them than it does about you, because they're thinking about what they would have done in that situation. So that person, she's thinking, oh, I might possibly go try and poach somebody. And so she's scared that you'll do it because she's thinking about where she's coming from. The man in the arena is one of my favorite speeches ever. And it was Teddy Roosevelt sharing about how if you are in a fight in the arena, you are grinding around in the sand with blood, sweat, and tears. Do not take advice from the people sitting in the stands, because they are not covered in blood, sweat, and tears. And if they are sitting up in the stands and giving advice, I'm sorry, if you want to give me advice, you're going to have to come get in the arena. You're going to have to come get bloody, dirty, and sandy and be willing to do the hard, because otherwise I don't want your advice. And we get to do that in every part of our business and every part of our lives. If you haven't dealt with what I have in motherhood, don't give me advice. If you haven't walked through what I'm walking through in my marriage, don't give me advice. You can be there for me. You can be my support. I have a friend walking through a very hard time right now. I haven't been where she's been. I have no advice to give, but I can be there to be her support. I'm in the gallery for her. She's in the blood, sweat, and tears. I cannot give her advice, but I can be there and cheer for her. So if you are going through something and people are trying to give you advice, just make sure they're on the ground with you and not sitting in the stands.
Advice or criticism. It's up to us which one to take, right? Just going to add on a little piece of that, because I know Barb came to me and I was like, oh, you know what's interesting? Barb has done such good leadership that she's hardly ever encountered this. Think about that piece too, right? And so encountering these people just allows you to take a step back and say, oh, that's where she's at. That's nothing to do with where you are at. So if you're in the arena and you hear someone yelling in the stands and telling you what to do, you're like, cool, bro. That's about it, right? And it removes so much drama and heaviness and feelings and thoughts and actions and all those things that we women are so good at. And we get wrapped up in a tight little ball of yarn for it. And really, if you just step back and release the feelings, there's nothing, right? And then you can also approach them with that energy, and your energy is so transferable. So if you're approaching them with the energy of, hey, thanks for your concern. Can I share something with you? You're really going to like this piece. Guess what? I'm actually helping your people. Did you know that? Like, there's so many pieces that we can come alongside with a calm energy and deflect that, whatever they wanted to transfer to you.
Oh, so much goodness tonight. Or this morning. Oh, I am so way off. Anyways, does anybody else have anything they would love to share? We've made it to our hour, but I definitely want to make sure to give you all an opportunity to share while we're here. If you have something that you would like to mentally process about what we've talked about today, from climbing that mountain and guiding women up, still love that analogy, that's going to be stuck in my head, to mentorship and coaching, I'd love to hear it. If not, then we will close it out for today until next week. It's our last one. Crazy stuff. Such a good book. Crazy stuff. But I love having you all here. Grateful for you all. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Thank you all for the valuable tidbits that you shared, for your vulnerability, and for just showing up here and being willing to grow. That in itself is a win. That in itself means that you are in the arena. You are doing the work. So give yourself a pat on the back. Have a great day,
Amen.
everybody.
Thank you.